Just make you wanna, you know what I'm saying? Hey, yo.
Some things are out of my control, guys. This was one of them.
Welcome to the Truth Be Told Flex Podcast. I am your host, Yeshua Judah. We got our yo Ben Yahoo. We got Benashel Lahaya. And she is responsible for the soul glow. You played it, baby. You played it.
Oh my God. No, absolutely not. You will not lay that on me.
Oh, that's
You remember how you pulled up to the McDowell's, man, all serious, yeah. Spray it up and pick it out for
you. You gonna make me go watch that, John, man. You gonna make me go watch. Wow. Give it up for
my man Jamil. My man Jamil, the Trunk Rattlers in the house. We got Shaka Boom 80 in the house. The callers in the house. We want to say thank y'all for joining us. We're going to have a great show. We got great lineup of videos. Some of them, let me go ahead and let you know right now, they're going to touch some emotions and not no good emotions whatsoever. We try our best to go into and pull out some stuff, whether it's old, new, or whatever. We try to go out and pull out some stuff that's be beneficial to us as the nation of Israel. Before we do get started, though, I do want to make an announcement that there will be ways for us to be able to bring music back to the show. Yeah. We're going to discuss that, the three of us, tonight, a little bit. And next week, we're going to make that final decision on how we'll be able to bring that back, but not only music, maybe videos as well. And also, we may be able to promote some businesses. Okay. So, yeah. So, Truth Be Told Flex Podcast, we're going to try to venture out there to help others. You know what I'm saying? So we will be getting with you on that. With that being said, I don't think I got anything else. I think Ayob have something that he want to announce. Am I correct?
Oh, yeah, man. We got on deck next week, Hundo with his latest
album.
That's right. That's right.
Saturday. There it is, right there. My man Hundo, Epistle of Hillside. We're gonna have his album release. It is due out next Friday, May 2nd. So next Saturday night, 8:30 Eastern, 7:30 Central. We got my man Hundo in the building. We're gonna have a party, y'all. We're gonna go through this album, and Hundo gonna have that walk of fire. So get ready. Epistle of Hillside, straight out of M.I. Crooked Letter.
Humpback.
Next Saturday. Next Friday night, streaming all platforms, but next Saturday we got the album release. Also, tickets are still TRG tickets at yahoo.com. May 30th, the Royal Gathering. My man Mike Malice, Big Homie Yurt, Queen Carly, Queen Yael with the spoken word poetry, and Queen Paris dropping that Pagan Waves viral hit. The Royal Gathering in Chicago, Illinois, May 30th, 8 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Central. Doors open at 6. Get your tickets. This is a free event. It's free. Every household
we love free.
4 tickets. We love free. So May 30th, Baptist Theater in Chicago, Illinois. I'm hosting. They're gonna let me sing a little bit. Make sure you're not ashy. No side teeth missing. Same rules apply. No ashiness, no side teeth missing, and don't be musty. Other than that,
oh, please don't be musty.
Yeah, I take a missing side too.
I'll take ash.
I'll take a little ash on your body. But man, don't come up in here smelling like an Arab or something.
Oh my.
Hey. Just the forever funk. Just
what are you talking about, my friend? We don't do that. Yes, y'all do.
Yeah, y'all do.
Yeah, y'all do. We believe in the deodorant. We just don't believe in putting it on.
It be spicy too.
Baby. And it lingers.
Right.
What do you mean it lingers?
When you leave the room, you leave it behind.
Be like, man, did y'all just cook in cumin powder and then not take a shower?
Right.
Yes, we did, buddy. What is it to you?
Onions for deodorant.
Right.
Yes, we did. What is it to you, my friend? Boy, what is it to me?
Hey, I knew you was coming last week. How did you know? Because I smelt you.
Some of that Dion Cole with that Old Spice commercial.
Right.
Some of that.
What'd you say, babe?
I just say yes, indeed.
Well, my man Javille say smelling like Arabian Nights, and we ain't talking cologne.
Nice and armor. Clink, 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 clink. Hitting towards metal. Clink, 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 clink.
Hey. Be talking to him crying.
Woo.
Ain't emotional at all. Just crying.
Oh. You gotta.
Hey, let me stop.
Oh man. Hey, don't make me crack my whip. Pull the timer out of y'all.
Not the whip. Don't bring it. Do not bring.
Real quick, man. Mavs got knocked out, man. They got embarrassed the other night. And I would have never known because my math is not that tight. My math game is not on point like that. But they say Mavs got knocked out 77 nights after the trade of Luka Doncic, which is the jersey that he wears, 77.
77? Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's what I said. 77 days after the trade.
It's been that long?
Been that long.
Really?
I guess so.
Been that long.
Right after All-Star. Was it right after All-Star?
Right after.
February.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Okay, yes.
Yeah.
That might be. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Speaking of Doncic, the Lakers tied the series between them and the Timberwolves last night. I think the Lakers, I watched the whole game. I think it was 94-85. Defensive game, not a lot of high scoring. They held Anthony Edwards in check. He still had 24 points.
And a poster dunk.
And had that two-handed poster dunk, which was phenomenal. But they held him in check. The first game, the Lakers took the L in LA. 21 out of 45 threes were made by the Mavs. Anytime you shoot like that beyond the 3-point line,
Timberwolves, not the
I'm
Mavs.
sorry.
Timberwolves.
You're going to probably win the game.
Yeah.
But I think, the Mavs, I don't think they, when they traded Doncic, they didn't think, Kyrie Irving, excuse me, they didn't think he was going to be down. Because I mean, if you're in the play-in game, you got Kyrie and AD, I'll place my bet on Kyrie and AD.
Yeah.
Over it.
My wife and I was just talking about this, ironically last night. I still don't agree with the trade as a whole. But I keep telling people and reminding people that from a basketball point of view, it wasn't a bad trade. From a basketball point of view.
Right.
But even if, and I'm going to say this, even if we had won the champion, even if we win the championship, if AD decide to come back, Kyrie get healthy, Clay decide to stay, we still got a solid team, right? But even if we win a championship with this group, in my opinion, it's still not worth the championship because you were going to eventually win a championship with Luka and that team. So what you did was, from a basketball point of view, yeah, it made sense because you got big, you got longer, right? But what you did was you put your fan base in a frenzy. So the reward of a championship to me, where you was pretty much guaranteed a championship still with Luka over a period of time, it wasn't worth it. You know what I'm saying? And still with Luka being as young as he was. And this is where Nico, if I was the owner of a team, and I know these owners not because they're not basketball people.
Right.
But if I was the owner of the Mavericks and I was a basketball-minded person, when Nico made this comment would have got Nico fired. Nico just said last week that he knew Luka was important to the city of Dallas, but he didn't realize how important. Even if you thought that or believed that, you better keep that to yourself. Because as a general manager of, if I'm not mistaken, that's like the second most profitable team in the league. If I'm not mistaken, that's Dallas Mavericks is a huge market, man. Dallas is a huge market.
Yeah.
You being the general manager of that particular team, not knowing that, that's a problem. Ayo, Ben, Yahoo.
Yeah, that's if you don't look out across the stadium on any given home night and see all the various different color variations of the number 77 Dallas jersey, then something's wrong with you. You're not supposed to be the general manager over personnel if you don't look over the crowd and see 30,000 seats and about 27,000 got on Luka jerseys. You got to know, okay.
And the three that don't is because they spent the money to get them tickets that they could have got a jersey. You know what I'm saying?
Everybody has a jersey on that is in the stadium, whether it's white, blue, green, throwback.
Right.
So I think, with the whole Michael Finley taking the beer out of his hand last year when he was celebrating, and they got the clip of him. Luka was drinking a beer. They had just won the game to go to the finals, and Michael Finley took. I truly believe that Michael Finley and Nico, because the new owners are not. They older.
They're not. Yeah.
They not Mark Cuban. Mark Cuban, new personnel. He knows the game of basketball. He played a little bit in college. These new owners, they old. They in they 7. They don't know.
Yeah. So, this is money to them.
Mark Cuban was a fan of the game too.
Right. Mark Cuban was a fan of the game. So look what he put together. Look what he put together. Luka just turned 26, 2 weeks after he was traded. So you had but from one of my sources, I have heard that the biggest thing was that $345 million he was due for next year.
Yeah.
Not saying that from my source was like Dallas has the money. But they still, there was some things that they didn't want to come off that much.
And that makes sense.
And it makes sense.
That make a lot of sense. It's so much about it that makes sense, but the team was strong.
Right.
Which makes it not make sense in a, you know what I'm saying, in a height of things, because you never discussed the contract with Luka. You never discussed it.
Right. There you go. From a business standpoint, it makes sense. but from a basketball personnel, y'all look like idiots. Y'all
exactly.
gotta discuss that with him. And then you traded him without knowing. He didn't even know.
Right, without knowing, So now I saw something and I sent it to my boy. Hold on. Let me see if I can find this. Hold on. I wished I could share this, but I ain't got time to share it. So I'm just gonna read it here. It says Luka returned to Dallas in 2026. The Dallas Mavericks just played the NBA. The Mavericks traded Luka for Anthony Davis, knowing Luka will re-sign with Mavericks in 2026. The Mavericks will have Anthony, Kyrie, and Luka to create a three-headed monster. This is the biggest chess move in the NBA history, and the NBA can't do anything about it. It would be so cool if this really happens. That's a possibility of something that can happen, man. The way those luxury taxes and all of that stuff there is spread around. We off them now because of that 340 something million that you was talking about, right? We go over here, we knowing that you can do a U-turn and come back, and we got AD and we got Kyrie.
Right. That 345, like you said, that 345 looks a lot cheaper if y'all win out of the next 5 years, 2 or 3 championships.
Mm-hmm.
That 345.
I think we would have been held in the playoffs this year if Kyrie didn't get hurt. We'd have been held.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
If
We'd have been held.
Team, y'all probably would be in the finals again. And you would probably beat the Celtics this time.
Yeah. So from a basketball point of view, man, and I can honestly say this from both sides because I'm a Maverick fan, I'm a Luka fan. From a basketball standpoint, it's not bad. But from a fan, I'm still hurting. When I tell you, it's hard for me to watch Luka in that purple and yellow, man. That purple and gold. I'm not gonna lie to you, dude.
He had a darn near triple-double last night.
Man, I be so conflicted. I be like, because everything give me like Luka.
Right.
But because he in that purple and gold, I'm like, I hope he lose. But at the same time.
But as a Laker fan since Magic Johnson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and all them from the 80s, watching them battle against the Celtics. Last night, watching Luka and LeBron, it's funny you say that because I put myself, what if I was a Mavs fan that grew up in Dallas watching this? I was salty. I'd be like, man, y'all get on my nerves. Yeah. Because it's like, how could you let that happen?
Yeah.
There's no way, Nico Harris, there's no way you can be a fan of basketball. And let
you can't be, man.
There's no way.
You can't, man. And I'm saying this as a born and raised Dallasan. Right. Is that a real word?
But no, but go with it.
Okay. I'm gonna say it again then. I'm saying this as a born and raised Dallasan.
Dallasite.
What she said. Even if AD, Kyrie, Christie, and all of them had made it to the finals, Clay had made it to the finals, I still had some saltiness in my heart with Luka being gone.
Absolutely. I totally agree, and I totally understand. I as a Laker fan, I felt that way last night. I was like, boy, I know Dallas is like, and the fact that y'all are not in the playoffs makes it like, and the fact and and I'm gonna leave off this. No heads have rolled. Nobody has lost their job in Dallas.
Like, that's what I just told my wife that. That's what I told my wife.
I don't know, bro.
Sometimes you make moves as owners. I think you and I talked about this. I talked about it with somebody. Okay, she giving me this helicopter. I'm gonna say this, and then we gonna go. Yeah, as men, you make hard decisions. As owners, you gotta make hard decisions. Decisions that you don't want to make. And in this case, you gotta appease your fan base. Nico, you gotta be out of here. You gotta go.
He lost the fan base.
You gotta go, Nico. You know what I'm saying? Because I gotta show these people that we still care around here. Right now, you a public enemy number one. I love you. We can smoke some cigars and drink some brandy. You know what I'm saying? But
That's to go, Brad.
right now, Nico, it's time for you to go. All right, I'm done.
All right. Well, speaking of being upset, this first video is probably about to upset some folks. So
Yeah.
here we go.
They woke up and said, wow, Black people are human after all. Let's be nice. They didn't desegregate because they loved us.
I understand what you're trying to say, and I would like it if more Republicans were like you. However, some of the issues and some of your talking points, I feel like you're removing some context. Like even with the whole thing, you talked about Rosa Parks, how, you know, her husband owned a car and all that. That's not the point. They were doing that to protest. Even if you do have a car, there are probably plenty of Black people that did.
Did you hear the part that I said that we had our own bus line?
I know, but we shouldn't have that. Because you were talking about how everyone should be together, we should all unify. But if we stay separate, if we keep having Black water fountains and white water fountains, white schools and Black schools, we'll never have that unity.
There's a difference between natural immigration or migration between the races and forced desegregation. When you force it, you cause animosity and chaos. When you let it be a natural thing, it happens a lot more smoother. Not everybody discriminated against each other. There was Black and white people getting together all the time. It was certain places where they held true to those structural things that were Democrats put into place to cause division. I don't think that she should have forced that. I think that Black people should have had their own bus line and became competitive, and then therefore they merged. Because that's the problem with our societies. We gave up a lot of our own generational wealth trying to get in the bed with a group of people that didn't really want us at the time. We had resources that we forfeited. We had education systems that we could teach our own history if we wanted to, but we forfeited that to stage this issue that wasn't as prevalent as Martin Luther King and the others made.
Stage it.
Officer Tatum, man, this is a for real, a prime example of how you could take some truths and twist it diabolically.
Right.
Because what he said is, and a lot of stuff that he said is true,
Right.
but his heart is not right.
Right.
And we talked about this the other day. He is one of those brothers that is being paid by the beast
Right.
to keep us as a people in a backwards mind state of thinking, right? He is, what was Samuel L. Jackson's character name in Django?
Steven.
He's
Steven.
a real life Steven. If Steven was a real man, it would be Officer Tatum.
Absolutely.
That first thing that he said, well, not the first thing, when he said, when that boy said, when you say that Rosa Parks had a car, and that's not the issue, which is true. But for him to say that Rosa Parks had a car, I just put this down in my notes. That's an argument that a white person would use.
Thank you. And that's why the young dude was like, bro, that's not the point. You're totally skipping over what the foundation of the conversation is about. You're totally missing it. And here's the thing. He wants to miss it. He knows that. Officer Tatum know that. He know that. That's why they sent them to a college to talk to one of us.
To talk to children.
We would have wore his hind end out. Pause.
Yeah.
In a conversation like that. He wouldn't have had a chance. Because
Right.
we on this show, we've talked about the bus line that we had. But what ultimately happened? They couldn't sustain.
They destroyed
so
it.
they had to sell it. Thank you. So your argument is done, bro. You don't even have an argument.
You only have an argument with people who don't know.
Who don't know. There you go. Somebody 20 and under. Oh, you can tell if but that's like you said the other day we was talking. That's what they want. They want those votes. They want those young people, that freshmen, sophomores in college, just getting out of college, to kind of come over to this MAGA way of thinking. You know.
Yeah, because they're the future. So we need to mold as many of them as we can in this backwards ideology so that they can be the light bearers for it going forward. Look, cats your age and my age, we are, a dying breed.
Right.
And so we are a problem too. I've been saying this for the longest. 90s babies, and we are a problem because we are the last generation that actually thought for ourselves. We're the last generation where the mama would give us a key to the house in kindergarten and tell us when you come home, you better not let nobody in.
Don't open that door for
With
nobody.
instructions on what needs to be done when you get home. We that last generation who was able to walk to school by ourselves in first, second, and third grade. We that last generation who used to have to remember phone numbers. We didn't have cell phones that had to remember phone numbers.
Right.
So what I'm saying, we the last generation who have the ability to think for ourselves outside of the agenda. So this younger generation, whom they have softened up, they like wet bread, right? They have softened them up. Now they're in the molding time now. Now they're about to mold this wet bread into what they need it to be. And they're using Negroes like Tatum to help mold them, man. Did you miss the part where we had our own bus line? Negro. Did you miss the part where they made us sell it? Did you miss the part where they got whole cities up under water? Did you miss the part where they burnt down everything that we had? Nigga, what is you talking about?
Like us integrating or segregating would have made them not do that. They was gonna do it regardless. That's what the young man was trying to say. Like, bro, you're talking away. You keep getting on the railroad tracks. We're getting on the way to the conversation. You keep changing and getting off, and you keep veering off until we reach the destination. But you done went all the way around to get to the finish line, and it's like, why even talk to you? You're not going to see what I'm saying. And that's that whole clip.
My apologies.
Oh. What you apologize for?
I didn't know who this dude was. I never heard of Officer Tatum. So I got educated real quick today.
You're gonna learn
my
today.
apologies to the black people in the back. I had no idea.
You're gonna learn today.
I did. I learned today. But let me say this. Let me defend our young people a little bit. Because while I agree they are marshmallow soft, they are a little bit more sheltered, so to speak, than we were. They also have access to things we didn't have access to. So the same way you talked about Officer Tatum earlier, and I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. I had to go look him up to find out who he was. Well, you see who he's married to, right? The young man that he was talking to wasn't falling for the okie doke.
Right.
So while he can go to these universities and these colleges, this is not our generation of people where you can just come to us and say anything to us and we're like, okay, they go do their research. Because think about the letter that we read on the show several months ago, Osama bin Laden letter. How many people have you heard have now talked about that letter? This is the age of technology. It's the age of information. Unless you mean you were ignorant to who Officer Tatum was, you can't be ignorant to this stuff anymore. So that's why they are doing their absolute best to try and get rid of all this stuff. Critical race theory, they don't want it. They try taking down all the statues. They are trying to erase history. So you have folks like Officer Tatum who go to these schools hoping they can infiltrate. Right. And unfortunately, or fortunately, they've not been able to do it in the way that I think they thought they were going to be able to do it. So they got to try some new tactics, which is getting rid of the educational pieces that teach Black history in schools.
Right.
Mm-hmm. I think, and I agree with you with that guy, and this is what made people like Tatum dangerous. And Ayob and I was talking about it the other night. This guy, and not saying that him in particular would, but Tatum is what's the word? He has charisma.
He's charismatic.
He's and over a period of time and talking with young people who is thinking right, he has the ability to continue to stay in their circle to get them to be like, okay, yeah, I see what you're talking about. Mm-hmm. It's a long run. It's a progress for him. You see what I'm saying? And of course, you're not going to get every youngster to come around, but it's a numbers game. So you'll go to a university like what Ayo was saying, and you talk to as many as you possibly can, and you'll start brainwashing them. We talked about it with the elders in a lot of these camps. If you look at a lot of these camps, a lot of the elders surround themselves with young men, with children.
Agreed.
Because they're easier to mold, they're easier to influence, they're easier to get into their head. They don't want to deal with grown men that got experience and who know how to talk for themselves. They will call that being combative. You dig what I'm saying? That's what they will call that. And so when you talking to a young, impressionable mind and you keep telling him over and over again that, man, when Tatum said it was forced integration, when he said that was at that moment where I wanted to hit him with a bone. Because what the words that he said was it caused chaos and discord. Well, who did it cause chaos with? Again, this is like talking like a white man's argument. So you telling me that I gotta be a good nigga and find my spot and stay in it and be quiet, or else I'm gonna make Massa mad. That's what he's saying.
That's what he's saying.
That's exactly what he's saying. It caused chaos and division with who? Look, did we forget how they, like I told my wife, have we forgotten how, and this is what they want to take away from us, yo. Have we forgotten how they made grease out of Nate Turner after they finally caught him?
Lord, them down.
Have we forgotten how they fed our babies to alligators? Have we forgotten how, put that man back up there with that white gal, with that devil. Have we forgotten how they took our skins and made purses and wallets out of them? Have we forgotten how they sent postcards of us hanging off of trees and they burn us down? Nigga, get out of here.
Get out of here with that foolishness, man. And for you to have a conversation and not acknowledge that or keep that in the conversation tells me what mind frame. Because the first thing you just alluded to it, Doc, you said something. The first thing somebody would have said if the 1940s, I'm gonna get my own bus line. Guess what they said? Oh, we got an uppity one. Oh, you uppity.
That's exactly what they just said.
Well, I got $18,000. I want to get. Oh, okay. Man, they would have robbed me, beat me, strung me up, took that money, and went and took the land that my family was on. Officer Tatum. So you got to add that factor, that in as to why we weren't coming in droves getting bus lines, so we didn't have to protest. Y'all were so scared that, oh, well, they didn't have to protest. He had a car. That's not, what are you talking about? That wasn't the one incident that happened. Look, boy, these jokers. But you can see in his eyes, like, look at his eyes. You can see it's a mental something that's off.
Yeah.
Something.
I like that. But yeah, you're right.
It's because he got his handler with him.
Yeah.
He couldn't have married more white woman.
If Get Out was a person.
Boy, you was the warlock of the sunken place. Like,
man,
it's
Get Out was the person. Did you miss the part where I said we had our own bus line? Nigga.
Count how many we had. Since you so smart.
Rosa Parks had a car. She didn't have to ride the bus. Nigga. That's all I need to heard from me. Every time he says I'd have niggered him to death. By the time he left there, he'd have probably thought he was for real a nigga.
Well, maybe
his wife would have been like, baby Tatum. He would have asked her, baby. He didn't say nothing. Oh, you didn't call me by name. I thought I was nigga.
Well, in the spirit of openness, this is what we all wish for.
Back, I want to know where I'm not welcome, okay? Put them signs back up. Colors only, whites only. Let's do it, all right? Rip the Band-Aid off. Especially for a restaurant. Are you kidding me? Whites only? What do I want to do in there? What they got? Mashed potatoes, mayonnaise, hot dogs. Colors only, we got seasoning, turmeric, paprika.
Okay, I like this.
Okay.
You were saying that the black excellence.
Absolutely.
The segregation is to get the
colored excellence.
Okay.
Okay. What's the playlist in the whites only spot? They playing Carrie Underwood and Kid Rock. We playing Babyface and Diggable Planets. Ain't no overhead lighting. What are you talking about?
Wait, where am I going?
Colors.
Hell yeah.
Look at his hair. Talking about where am I going? That's the problem with North Africans.
That's what I'm talking about. Hell yeah. I'm in. 100% agree. Let's go.
Talk about where I'm going.
Oh, man. Yeah.
What happens to you in the summertime?
Where are we putting the Italians?
Listen,
I just want to know.
I don't need their food. I don't like tomatoes.
So they're going on the white side.
Black people spend over $1 trillion a year. I would love for the government to force us to spend it on our own people. You know?
This is very good.
Yeah.
I like this a lot.
I brought you over to the side.
And the black airplane?
Oh, come on, the soul plane, baby.
I want to be on Soul Plane.
Yes, it's going to be noisy on there, but that's what noise cancellation headphones are for. You know what I'm saying?
And they're going to have all the good movies?
All the good movies, all the good music.
Oh, man.
And while we at it, bring back sundown towns. They never left, but...
What's that?
Well, a sundown town was back in the day during Jim Crow where black people weren't allowed to be in a town after the sunset.
Wow.
So those towns never left. They still exist in America, but they took the signs down. I want them to put the signs back up. I wanted to say 248 miles to the next town that likes colored people. Get your gas in Atlanta. Don't stop till you get to Savannah, all right?
I'm with her.
He with me.
Pretty much.
Go ahead. Go ahead. I love to hear what y'all got to say, man. I talk so much on the first, and I'm gonna be quiet, but
Go ahead, Banaf. Yeah, I know you want to jump in. I know you want to jump in.
So I actually saw this same video a while ago. That's why Sher said earlier, even if it's old news, we still feel like there's stuff that you can benefits you can reap from this. It's interesting because this is very similar to when they started taking statues down. And we were talking about this years ago. Why are we taking statues down? We need to know what y'all thought process was, how you feel, why you feel the way that you feel. The guys who drive around with their Confederate flags, I don't know how popular it is where you guys live, but here in Texas, guys driving around with their Confederate flags, leave them jokers up. I need to know who I'm dealing with. And the same way people advertise, I want to know what kind of gas I'm getting. You don't just pull up to a gas station and hope that you get Exxon gas or hope that you get Shell gas. They advertise so you know which gas you're getting. Right. Same thing. I would wish they would advertise who they are so I know who I need to deal with. I need to stay 50 feet away from you. I need to stay 50 feet away from you. I don't need to go into your restaurant. There's all kinds of reasons why I agree 100% with this video. I don't want to eat where you don't want me. I don't want to be where you don't want me. I don't want to sit in the same place as you don't want me. So, yeah, I agree with her 100%.
And I'll just real quick go
let
ahead.
Let your racist flag fly.
Let it fly so I know not to fool with you because we don't fool with y'all no way half the time. So, here's my thing. That video speaks volumes because as she was saying, and you can tell he was, he's probably North African. He does look Moroccan, or what history called the Berbers from Morocco. That's Northern Africa. And right there, what's right there where we were before you get to Northern Africa, Portugal, Spain. They right there close. Mm-hmm. So he looks of that ethnicity. But bruh, if that really happened and we went total segregation in the United States, boy, how long would that last? I will give it 21 days. Probably not even that long. Ain't nobody eating a potato salad. Ain't nobody eating them nasty mashed potatoes. Ain't nobody eating that chicken, them burgers, none of that. Now, you may have some that know how to season and prepare, but that's only pockets of the U.S. Talking about as a whole, y'all be ready. Y'all be running back. And that's
I agree with you.
If that really happened, from sports to even politics to even school systems, every restaurants everywhere, it wouldn't last long. It wouldn't last long. They wouldn't let it.
I agree with you.
They wouldn't let it. So yeah, that's
two things why it wouldn't last long. It would be an economic collapse.
Oh man.
And an economic boost, and the boost would be so detrimental that it'll make them lose their minds because now we talking about our money staying in our own communities.
Right.
They not gonna let that happen.
Right.
And then they gonna lose so much money if you want to, for real. This is why integration was going to happen with or without Martin Luther King.
Right.
They was going to integrate. We didn't, you know what I'm saying? They gave us the illusion that civil rights, we had to fight for this and march for this and not taking anything from the pioneers that went before us, right? Because they got sprayed with the real water hoses. They got hit upside the head with real bricks and they lost their lives. Not to take nothing from any of them that paved the way for us to be where we are. But going back on what Officer Tatum was saying, then white people was going to integrate anyway because they saw and understood the financial gain on both sides. If we don't integrate them, they going to get too powerful and rich where they're not going to need us and we're going to lose money where we might just happen to need them.
Yep.
They saw that. They understood that. Right?
Yep.
So if we go back to a 100% segregation, this is another thing that you're going to see. You're going to see those white people who privately like us but don't talk about it because they white friends
they were disowning.
Don't want to hear that.
Right.
It's just like that lady said. While y'all listening to Katy Perry and whatever else y'all listening to, you gonna have white people trying to sneak in the back door of our establishments, Aki.
Right. Right.
They want to go, as they say, they want to go where the bros is at. I'm finna go where the bros is at.
Hey, you got 50% of the white female population that would be devastated.
What you talking about? They think them white girls like Negroes now. You segregate. You white boys have to go home and your wives gonna be gone. And you gonna be trying to figure out where they at. And they on the other side of the tracks.
They would really be trying to be black face or brown face. They'd be painting their bodies.
What you talking about? And instead of our women wearing those white wigs, they'll be buying Afro wigs.
Nappy wigs.
Platform shoes.
Well, you remember some years ago there was a video going around with that the right I cannot remember the guy's name, but he was talking about how white people would have fared in this country without black people and they didn't necessarily need us. And the black guy asked him, well, what would you have done without black people? You wouldn't have had X, Y, and Z. Oh, we would have figured out. But you haven't.
You never have.
You haven't figured it out.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that wouldn't last. That wouldn't last at all. That wouldn't last at all. But I'm with her though, 100%. Bring it back just for the sure fact of, like my wife said, I need to know who I'm dealing with. You know what I'm saying?
I need to know.
Because you want to know who you're dealing with. This is this next video.
This next video is why you need to know who you were dealing with.
This ain't even the worst one we got tonight, y'all.
Fight. Hey, Jeff, it's Jake Lang here.
Yes, sir. What can I do for you?
Jeff, first of all, my entire heart rests in your hands. I would be in my position, not even as somebody even knew your son, but somebody that shares the same understanding. I grew up as a 17-year-old young white man too, and I grew up in fear of my life around black people because they were killing and robbing people around me all the time. And I don't understand, as I was a father, you could sit idly by and not condemn the culture that killed your son. There is an epidemic problem in this country, and your voice could be one of the loudest voices in this country, but you've chosen to recoil out of fear and continue the suppression. Why will you not stand with me and with the rest of the people? We're not calling for racial divide. We're not calling for hatred. We're saying 350,000 attacks on white people by black people a year in this country is wrong. Why can't you stand that and say with that? Maybe you can. Would you be willing to stand by me in a press conference or in an individual interview and talk about this issue that is larger than Austin at this point? God rest the beautiful young man's soul that would have been one of our strongest voices if he was still alive today.
Are you done?
Yes, I am, sir.
Okay, my turn to speak. You are part of the problem, my friend. You're trying to create more race divide than bridging the gap. I do not condone anything you do. You do not have any.
That's called white guilt.
No, let it talk. Of my son. Let me finish. I give you your time. You take my son's face off your website. I am not associated with you.
You're creating more Austin Metcalfs with your weakness, sir. You are creating more Austin Metcalfs with your weakness.
In history, this is the shift where white people will no longer be the
Boy.
Fix it, a higher, and be a fence.
Boy, it was
You know,
14
the
people
one
at that protest. It was more police.
One of the weirdest things about that, and I'm saying weird because I don't want to use the word scared, scary or scared, even though I know we're not scared or scary. So I'm just still using weird. One of the weirdest thing about that is that those people was there in the name of President Donald Trump. As Willie D say, your president.
Your president.
As the president of the United States, you should, even if you felt like that, right? Even if you felt like this dude, you should still want to distance your name away from that. But with him being okay with his name being flown on those flags with those particular people and they're protesting, he is boldly making a statement that I'm with this spirit that is now being put forth in this earth.
Right.
I'm with that.
That's right.
Well, he is with it.
I know he is.
Yeah, he ain't gonna separate himself from that. He already told you what he's trying to do.
Right.
Make America great again.
And again, we don't support Democrats or Republicans. We don't. I'm just saying, if Obama or Biden, Bush, Reagan, after that, they would have had a press conference distancing themselves from something like that.
Correct.
They would have been like, listen, even though it's our right to protest and speak our feelings, we don't condone that type of divide. They would have done that. President Trump, matter of fact, Jake Lang, the guy that was on the phone with Austin Metcalf's father, who got an open rebuke from Austin Metcalf's father, Jake Lang was pardoned by Donald Trump last year because he was part of the January 6th brigade.
Insurrection.
The insurrection, who they call patriotism. He was pardoned for being a patriot, for trying to stop the steal the vote, and Trump pardoned him after he had a 4-year sentence. He was supposed to get out in another 2 years or next year, but Trump got pardoned. The guy that was in the cell with him, who was a gang member years ago, who is now reformed, Jason Whitlock, just had him on the show, and they were in the cell together, and they were talking about how Jake Lang was. He's a Jewish man who pouts and wants to get his way. And that's why he did that protest, because he was pardoned. Now they also, in jail, caught him in a lie. You can't never go to prison or jail and get away. People going to know what you're in there for, what you did, who you did it with. They're going to find out. So what they found out was his heroism for being in jail was the young lady that got shot by one of the cops that died. His heroism and folklore and tale was that when she was dying, he was the one that was trying to resuscitate her and give her CPR. That was a bold-faced lie. He was waving a bat at the police as she was dying. So now, since then, his credibility has been shot. That's why you've seen so many, 10 people was out there? They thought it was going to be this. It was more police than people at his rally. So now y'all look crazy. Y'all really you look sad because that has gone viral. That video is viral of you being openly rebuked by that young man's father. So,
and this is the thing about Jeff Metcalf too. I don't know if you guys have been paying attention from the time his son had been died. From the time his son has died, he has pretty much had that same energy.
Yeah, I'll get that to him.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so this is one of these instances where I'm asking you guys the question because we just talked about it before the show. Hamashiach is being revealed, right? You asked the question, how is he being revealed? And the answer, we both said, indubitably through us.
Through his people.
And he said that they would know you by the love that you show. And by no means is Shahir here talking Christian like whatsoever, but I still got to pose the question, is this an instance where we could take him, Jeff Metcalf, and separate him from the agenda, from the media, and from politics, because it is so obvious that the media, that the agenda, and that politics want to make this a racial issue between what happened with Carmelo Anthony and Austin Metcalf. But the energy that Jeff is displaying is all the way different, so much to the point where I think that he's a wildfire when they put a mic in front of him. So could we separate him from that?
And real quick, Banaf, I know you want to jump in real quick. Mine's going to be real quick. The reason we can separate, you know why? He's been living in the same America we have. He's seen it. Trayvon Martin, Eric Garner, Sandra. He's like, yo, all we do is politicize and racial divide this. The media. That's what he's saying. That's what he was telling Jake Lang. He's like, bro, you showed up in your suit and your tie just for the camera. That's all you're doing. He said, you are the problem. You are part of media. You're this famous guy. So yes, we can separate him because, not because of anything we've done, it's because with his own eyes, he has truly seen how this beast system is, how they're so up against us. He understands it. He knows it. Yeah, he just lost his son. I wasn't there. I honestly think Carmelo was defending himself. That's my stance. Austin is gone. That man lost his son. However, he is still saying to lose his son and to be able to say, look, you're not going to take my son's face off your website. You're not going to politicize this. That's how I feel. That's what, from me hearing
that's huge too.
That's huge. He could have been like, okay,
he could have ran with that.
He could have ran with it because it would have benefited him.
And it would have snowballed.
But again, he sees the revelation, y'all. I'm telling you, they see this stuff. They've been living in America. They understand. He grew up. And this is why MAGA don't want the older, his age folks, because they know the history. Whether DeSantis, whether Trump, whether Elon Musk don't want this in the schools or not, these older white males and females between the ages of 40 and 80, they know the history, y'all. So yes, we can separate him because he's been in the same America we have. I digress.
But not.
So I think a couple of weeks ago, if not last week, I think that was the point that I made, was that the tragedy of all this is that a young man took somebody else's life, whether he was defending himself or not. We'll find out when everything comes out in the wash. We'll find out what really happened. But he took somebody's life, and he's going to have to live with that. And a young man lost his life. The fact that the media is trying to politicize this, and this guy on here was trying to politicize this for his own personal gain, he can care less about Metcalf.
Right.
He don't care about that kid.
Right.
Anything that he can say that is going to amp up the folks to celebrate him, like the comment he made about he was a bright light, he was going to be such a bright light in this world. How do you know that? Where'd you get that from? What did he do that made you feel like he was going to be such a bright light? And I'm not saying that he couldn't have been. All I'm saying is he is using that to continue the racial divide. At the end of the day, somebody lost their life in all of this, and the only thing they're taking from it is black against white. It's what they have been doing and continue to do. As much as they possibly can, they try and keep the racial divide going so that they have something that they can continue to stand on and continue to make regular Americans fight about it.
Right.
And they can build a platform of white Americans to continue to push out minorities. That's exactly what they're going to do. Because how can you make America great again if you don't have more white people?
Right. That's it. So, Officer Tatum, who's forcing it? As you act, it's one thing if it happens naturally, but it's one thing forced. Well, who's forcing it? As Banav said, it's the media. It's not us. It's not us. We don't force this stuff.
I've been preaching this for years. You know, I think even on this show we have said several times that, you know, when I talk about the white man, I'm not talking about the white man that I work with or the white man that you work with. I'm not talking about the white kids that my kids go to school with. I'm not talking about my white neighbors. I'm talking about the white people that are in power, that have the ability to affect how I live. These are the white people that I'm talking about. When you are in America, you cannot help but to know and to understand, no matter who you are, that the white man is in charge. The white man owns the media. The white man is in politics. The white man is over every facet of life that we have to go through in order for us to move forward or backwards. It's the white man that has to agree to let it be so, let it be done. You dig what I'm saying? Right. And so with Jeff Metcalf, this is why this was so huge, because he could have easily jumped on board with the agenda, and that would have caused total chaos. Yep. I'm going to say this tonight and a million times over. Black people, we got the white president in office right now to lock all our asses up. Excuse my language.
Or to send us away.
And they are waiting on us.
They're looking for any reason.
They're waiting on us to do something out of line where they can let the dogs out.
And send your behind right on to El Salvador.
They're showing you right now with old boy that's over there that they having issues with coming back over here. He was an example. And I said it like that on purpose. He was an example as to what's going to happen to you. I can't remember the year of the act, but they are now revisiting a war act which will allow them to detain citizens that are opposed to the government and will lock you up. It ain't gonna take nothing for them to look at you, whom they already hate. Esau hates you, have hated you, and is gonna hate you. Amalek has always hated us. It ain't gonna be nothing for them to look at you and lock you up and throw away the key.
Ain't gonna be nothing.
And this is what they're doing. That's why Trump don't have a problem with old boy and the rest of them having his name, because we need to touch that right emotion to get them unsettled. And we can get them unsettled, then we can convince the people around us that look like us, these clear folks, we could convince them that we was in the right. How do I know we can convince them? Because we've been doing it all along. We convinced everybody to go to Iraq. They ain't got no problem with that. We convinced them that it's all right for us to go do what we did in Libya. They agree with that.
All we need is somebody that all they need is to come into agreement. That's it.
That's it.
That's it. They just need of majority of the American people to say, yeah. You heard what dude said. 350,000 black Americans attacked. Like, what website?
It's the reason they don't like to discuss critical race issue. It's the reason they trying to get rid of all the people they consider woke.
Right. Like, man,
350,000 black people attacked on whites is a pale comparison. It's a pale comparison to what you people have done to us.
Oh my God! Right, like you're gonna throw that out there like it's
350,000.
And if you weren't already upset If we had
Well, we got a
already.
beyond critical race theory right now.
Okay.
Slowly roll. She was watching, but not this.
I know that's right. Keep it pushing.
Yes. Oh no! Yeah, we gonna burn them up with this next one. Is the next one the next one?
Race theory gonna make you mad too.
Yeah, because I got a small little clip. It's about a minute long, minute 30 seconds long. And I wanted to talk about this because it was a great show last week. Missed the show last week, and the way you two broke it down, I wanted to talk about this and highlight this because we have been putting up with this for a long time. And I wanted to bring the Beyond Critical Race Theory, the critical race facts into projection this week and talk about something that has been a true pestilence for our people, even to this day, and will continue until we somehow realize what this beast being in the belly of the beast, or as Jonah was in the belly of the whale, Most High is going to continue to allow this to happen until we wake up. But I wanted to bring the On This Day series back because on this actual day in 1987, the U.S. Supreme Court rules racial bias was inevitable in the criminal justice system, man. So it's a short article and a short clip, but I wanted to do this because, like I said, Banath and Sheer did a great job on piecing together this Carmelo Anthony and the Jeff Metcalf and Austin Metcalf, and we've seen so many countless others in the drug war get locked up in prison. And now Donald Trump is wanting to take it to another level. And if you're getting, if you're doing certain crimes, he want to lock you up in El Salvador and do this and do that. So this is why I wanted to highlight that they say, hey, if you are melanated like we are, it's inevitable you're going to do more time than anybody else. But then again, nobody's doing anything about it. How did Carmelo Anthony, how did he have a $1 million bail? How did that happen?
Come on now.
Right. For a 17-year-old who is currently suspended but has a 3.8 GPA.
Right.
How is he under $1 million?
Is he a thug? That's what they said, right?
That's what they say. But on this day in 1987, the court system was like, wait a minute. They're not justified thugs, y'all. Y'all just doing this stuff to them because you want to. All right, let's check this clip out. Let me share my screen. Let's see if I can. There we go. All right.
Here are 50 white guys. Here are 50 black guys. Here's how many white guys can expect to go to prison in their lifetime. The chances amount to 1 out of 17. Now here's how many black guys can expect the same thing. The chances are 1 out of 3. Why? Lots of reasons. It's complicated, but one thing is clear. There's racial bias at every level of the criminal justice system. When blacks and whites commit the same kind of crimes, blacks are more likely to be arrested. Once arrested, they're more likely to be convicted. Once convicted, they're more likely to serve longer sentences. Look at the numbers in America's so-called war on drugs. About 14% of American drug users are black, as are about a quarter of drug sellers. Yet blacks are 34% of the people arrested for drug crimes. And those convicted of drug crimes, 46% are black. By the time we factor in sentencing, there are actually more black drug offenders than white ones in state prison and in federal prison. In the end, the incarceration rate for drug crimes is 10 times higher for blacks than it is for whites. These are the facts. Racial disparity in America's war on drugs is one big reason that 1 out of 3 black men can expect to go to prison in their lifetime.
That's crazy, ain't it? So on this day, April 22nd, 1987, the U.S. Supreme Court rejected a so-called black man's death penalty appeal grounded in claims of racial inequality and instead accepted proven racial sentencing disparities as an inevitable part of our criminal justice system. October 1978, inevitable. Remember that word, inevitable. In October 1978, so-called black man named Warren McCleskey was convicted of killing a so-called white police officer during a robbery and was sentenced to death. On appeal, Mr. McCleskey's lawyers argued that Georgia's capital punishment system was racially biased in violation of the 8th and 14th Amendments. In support of his argument, the lawyers presented statistical evidence that race significantly impacted the likelihood of a death sentence. University of Iowa professor David Baldus had conducted a rigorous statistical analysis of more than 2,000 Georgia murder cases and found that prosecutors were more likely to seek the death penalty and juries were more likely to impose it in cases involving so-called black defendants and white victims. Listen to this, y'all. I want y'all to, Carmelo Anthony, I want y'all to get this in your head on where this could end up. This is why I wanted to bring this out. Even after controlling 4 crime-specific variables, the Baldus study concluded so-called black defendants accused of killing so-called white victims faced the highest likelihood of receiving the death penalty. In its 5-4 decision in McCleskey versus Kemp, the court accepted the Baldus study's findings as valid, but held that the evidence was not enough to reverse the conviction and sentence because there was no proof that any individual had intentionally discriminated against Mr. McCleskey on the basis of race. You see how they worded that? In other words, without clear evidence that the discrimination was impactful and purposeful, the court could not and would not act. In dissent, Justice William Brennan wrote that the majority was motivated to deny relief by a fear of too much justice. How can you say that somebody wrongly convicted is getting too much justice? You know why? You know why? Because it proves, like Banaf said, that we're not thugs. That we just didn't wake up to intentionally unalive a police officer because we went to go rob a bank. Because it's just not us robbing banks. That's basically what they're saying. But they're saying, look, so-called blacks is not the only ones doing this. But look at the numbers. As you've seen in the video, when they do it, they get convicted and get longer sentences. When others do it, they get a slap on the wrist, probation. Oh, it's a first time offender. So what's going to happen to this young so-called 3.8 GPA in high school, ran track, and in one moment in
captain
time,
of his football team as well.
Captain of the football team. But
you're going to throw the book at him.
You're going to throw for this one moment in time? That's why when I seen this article, I was like, wow, that's crazy. That's crazy. But I wanted, before I get your thoughts, I wanted to go to this. As you can see in the article, it breaks down Esau had a decision to make in 1987. They had a decision to make, and they decided not to. They made a choice. Now, where did this sound familiar? And I'm going to be quick. I thought about something. I said, wait a minute. If you go to Genesis 4, when the Most High was talking to Cain, this sounds familiar. Genesis 4:7, it says, or 4:6. I'm going to read Genesis 4:6 through 8. It says, then the Most High said to Cain, why are you angry? Why is your face downcast? Listen to this. Listen. This is the Most High himself talking. He says, if you do what is right, will you not be accepted? But if you do not do what is right, sin is crouching at your door. It desires to have you, but you must rule over. What did Cain do? Verse 8. Now Cain said to his brother Abel, let's go out to the field. While they were in the field,
Mm-hmm.
Brother Abel killed him, slew him.
Ooh.
Then I stepped back in and said, Cain, where your brother? So I just wanted to bring that verse out. And they had a choice, y'all. They still look at from 1987 to now. They've been making the wrong choices. The Most High been speaking. Make the right choice, do the right thing. And they still chose to slay their brother. Revelations is at hand, man. Mashiach is being revealed. All right. What's your thoughts?
But not. Can you pull up a picture of Cason Allison? Caysen. Last name Allison. Allison.
Spell the first name again.
Caysen. For years, man, before coming into this truth, and I was blessed with this book right here. I used to always think to myself that the Most High rejected Cain's offering simply because it was fruits and vegetables.
Right.
Until I read this book right here, that wasn't even the case. He offered what he had. That's what he was. And that's what he was supposed to offer. The problem with his offering was that he didn't give him his best.
There you go. There you go.
He gave him what his heart desired to give him.
There you go.
He didn't have enough respect for his creator to give his creator that caused the earth to give him those fruits and vegetables. He didn't have enough love and respect for his creator to give him the best. So in other words, Cain within his heart still thought that some kind of way he was better than the Most High. And he still, after the warning, could not make the right decision. He still looked at his brother Abel as the problem, not understanding that the problem
was within him. It was him.
What Jeremiah say, that the heart is the most what?
Deceitful.
Above all things. I tell people all the time, man, we look around and we cause other folks our enemy, and we say that they are the worst thing for you. In all reality, we are our own worst enemies, Aki.
That's it.
Because we can't separate from our heart. We don't understand that our heart leads us into trouble. Now, I had my wife to pull this kid right here up. This was in Bell County, which is not too far from Frisco.
Yep.
On this beyond critical race theory that Ayo gave, and it was so befitting, I'm wondering how many people have even heard of Cason Allison. See, 2 years ago when he was in high school, he stabbed the white boy over here, right? The white boy stabbed the Mexican kid in school. And called him up real nice.
Yep.
In the words of Scarface.
Yep.
He lied and said he only cut him one time. Autopsy proved different.
Yep.
Now I want to know who picked up their cellular devices and came across this story. Who went to YouTube and heard about this story? Who heard about this story on the news? And if you did, I can promise you, you didn't come across one article that had a headline that called Cason Allison a murderer.
That's right.
Not one.
That's right.
In fact, we just to let this thing go so low under the radar that if he happens to get off, ain't nobody gonna know about it.
Nobody gonna know about it.
Nobody gonna know about
it. Yes.
This is the stuff that they do to us.
That's right.
That war on drugs. You get caught with an itty bitty small piece of crap that's so small that as soon as the fire hit it, you ain't even got nothing to smoke. They give you a quota. White boy get caught with a whole gram of powder.
Probation.
Or rehab.
That's what it is. They go to rehab. They don't go to jail. They go to rehab.
Yeah. Oh.
You remember the movie Traffic?
Traffic.
Remember what happened in Traffic?
Traffic.
He was supposed to be the drug czar. He was trying to, crack down on drugs, the war on drugs, and the whole time his daughter was any and everywhere she could possibly find to get high, shooting up in the foot. And then when he realized it was happening under his own eyes, in his own roof, then all of a sudden it was an epidemic.
It's an epidemic.
Yep.
We talked about this years ago what happened in Plano.
Yeah.
When the drugs crossed the tracks, then it was a epidemic.
Man.
Then it was a disease. Then it was a sickness.
Right.
Long as it stayed on the other side of Plano.
South Dallas and West Dallas, they had no problem. But when them little white kids, them little white kids was driving from Plano to South Dallas to buy drugs, boy.
Golly.
I'm telling you what I know. I'm telling you what I seen with my eyes. Plano and South Dallas ain't no around the corner. They would drive from Plano, South Dallas to buy them drugs. And like Bernard said, when they realized what was happening, boy, Plano had a problem back in the 90s, man. Them white kids were getting hot. They were trying their best to keep that from out. But you know why we knew? Who they had to come score from.
Right.
We knew.
Right.
But we wouldn't have had nothing for them to score from if you didn't put them in our neighborhood.
Right.
Let's go back to the root.
We don't own the boats to go to Colombia and to get it.
We ain't growing no coca leaves in our backyard.
Yeah, Snowfall opened my eyes, boy. The theories that really made wow.
Mm-hmm.
That really put it in perspective. But Rick Ross, the real Rick Ross, not the rapper, the real Rick Ross, they were saying it for years. They were like, man, the government is doing this stuff. That's why they Manuel Noriega, all that stuff. It wasn't because they were killers and had people hostage. It was because the coca plant. It's a coca leaf.
Say, man, America has been the biggest drug trafficker in the world from day one. And they still are till this day. Not only are they the biggest drug trafficker, they are the biggest human trafficker.
Yeah.
That's why the Bible speaks of the destruction of Babylon. And when you read 2 Esdras 14 and 15, Asia, you got yours coming because you learned from her. You have patterned yourself off for her. Right. Esdras tell you, Asia, you're going to get yours too.
It's coming.
It's coming.
It's coming.
It's coming. Beautiful beyond critical race theory, man. And it's so very true. I've been in the courtroom where I've seen judges hand down a harder sentence to a brother than a white person, and they did the crime together.
Yep.
Together. They were crimies.
Yep.
Crimies.
Ain't that something?
Yeah, look at what happened, and it's obviously years ago, but with Malcolm X, when him and his boy committed a crime with them white girls, and they got 99 or however many it was consecutive years, and white girls got off with a slap on the wrist, a little probation, sent them on their way.
Same crime.
Even though that was many, many moons ago, it's still happening. Happens just like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, well, keep your hats on, guys.
This thing gonna keep on rolling.
Trains don't normally have seatbelts, I suppose, but in this case, you better put one on.
Before I finish this video, a little bit of backstory. This happened at Meadowwoods Elementary in Orlando, Florida at a kindergarten graduation. The woman that you saw spitting was upset that the black woman came and sat down by her man and just by her family in general. So this is how the rest of the video went. Y'all tell me what y'all think.
Yes, sir. There's a seat here.
Just leave her alone. She's still.
There's a seat. There's a seat here.
You can record all day.
There's a seat here. It's okay.
You see? There's no space.
Look, exactly. We're all sitting. It's all right.
But it's no space.
You're sitting, sir.
Did I give you permission?
You are right, but
Okay, but can you move? Can you move, please?
God, no, I'm not
I'm
moving.
not giving you permission to record.
No,
So can
I'm
you
not
move?
moving. No, I'm not moving.
You have to tell me you're recording. You're not even
No, I don't have to tell. I will fucking kill
No,
you.
but it's me.
Kill me.
No, but it's me, Sabon. What's here? What is that new?
Excuse me. She just spit in my face.
Can you move, please? Because I was sitting here and she came here. Can you move, please?
So you're sitting, I'm sitting, there's
No,
space.
you came to my space.
Sir, we're all sitting.
Okay, I know, but she came to...
Before I finish this video,
I'm going to jail.
Everybody just speechless, but not saying it all, no way.
Listen.
What you got? What you got, Midnight Yo?
Everybody on this show, in the audience on this show, what was one of the main things you learned in 4th grade science? Where does the digesting process begin? Not in your stomach.
The mouth.
Not in your intestines, but as Banav said, in the mouth. That is where the digestion process begins. The saliva actually works and helps you break down your food. If you let that come out, man, listen. Oh my gosh. Well, they'd had to put me on medicine. They'd had to put me on medicine after that because I would drug everybody.
Going to jail.
I'd have turned that school upside down, bro.
I missed that kindergarten graduation, 5th grade graduation.
Miss it. Would nobody been? We wouldn't have been having no graduation, no nothing. And I could hear my church folks now. We need to pray. Yeah, we would have prayed.
We gonna pray, all right.
I would have prayed for everybody. I'd have prayed for their family, my family. I'd have prayed for everybody in there that they wouldn't be traumatized.
Y'all better pray they can get me off of her.
From what they seen Ben Ayob do, please, Abba, don't let them be traumatized from what they seen me do to that white woman and that white man after she spit on me.
Spit grosses me out so bad. Woo. My family tells me ahead of time, Mama, I'm about to, so I can cover my ears because it grosses me out. And if somebody, okay, sure, I'll let you have it because I can't.
And listen, it was he got up. He was sitting on the other side of his wife. He got up and came and sat in the space to make it look like she. Oh, bro, what like? And they're
not even American.
From
They
their
wasn't
accent.
them. They wasn't them South Africans. They wasn't them 700,000 South Africans.
Well, they from the Ukraine. What you?
Isn't that what I just told you? Isn't that exactly what I said?
She's sitting over there looking like Skeletor. I will kill you. She didn't have no side tooth.
And then poor children would have got snatched up while I was snatching them up.
Woo, boy, that
they got the right one that day because she was way too calm for me.
Looking like they cooked meth at home before they came to the. That probably was wrong. That lab probably blew up before they got to.
You Yeah, that's right.
Look,
that's right.
I'm finna just going to be real honest with you, though. Like I told my wife, I'm proud of myself. I've been in this world 51 years. I ain't never laid my hands on a woman before in my life, right? But I'm finna tell you this, dude, boy. That woman had to pull that mess up out of her mouth and put it on me at that graduation. And they say it's the first time for everything.
What?
I'd have beat the brakes off that woman. I'm finna go and tell you right now. I'd have beat brakes off of her. I'd have beat brakes off that white boy that was sitting next to her. And then one of them big-headed ass white kids, they probably got the business too. I'm just finna go and be honest with you. When she would have done up in that thing, boy, say, they could probably shut that school down. I'd have for real been that big black Negro, man. Say, I'd have been that dude, man. I'm just gonna be honest with you.
I'd say he'd have beat the brakes, door handles, windshield wipers.
All of them.
It's over. It's over, man. I'm telling you, it's over. When I came back, don't ask me what I did because I don't know. The last thing I know is that this ugly white woman spit on me. And from there, I'm not responsible no more.
And it would have been in slow motion. I would have seen it coming.
No.
And as it was flying by, that's when my left hand I'd have been coming over. And
man, look at here.
That's the worst thing you could do. But here's the thing.
Oof.
We was talking, and like we've said so many times on this show, I always miss them folks. It's always our people that's vulnerable. Either a woman by themselves or an elderly person or some kids. If they would have been two YNs with their pets hanging down to come and see the baby mama and the little baby graduate from kindergarten,
they wouldn't have done that.
I don't think they'd have done that to no YNs, man.
We'll move. They would have moved to the back.
They would have moved. Yeah.
They would have moved and sat in the back.
They'd been cursing the whole time, but they'd have moved.
They would have been mumbling, but they would have moved. That's what I'm saying. It's never somebody the same age or younger. If that would have been two brothers, his age, a dad and a son, his age and younger, they would have got up and moved. Come on, kids. Oh, y'all have a great day.
And when you saw, I don't know if you paid attention to if we put that in the video or not, if you could clip that, but the people that started coming over, she talking about, she spit on me. They'd have been asking what happened. Because I wouldn't have been able to tell them she spit on me. I'd still been beating her by the time they got there.
Yeah.
I ripped all them little strands of hair out her head.
Yeah, they would have figured it out. They would have seen the spit on me, and they'd have seen me. What? They would have had.
She needed to hear them methamphetamines after I got done with her. Boy, I say that. It's two things in this world. I say this all the time, repetitive, because it's so true. There's two things in this world that you do not do that is over the top disrespectful to a man. And there's one, spit on him, and that's another, which is slapping him. You know what I'm saying? I'd rather you close your fist up and hit me than an open hand slap me. You open hand slap me, you making me feel like you think it's something soft about me, and I'm going to have to show you. You know what I'm saying? And if you spit on me, you making me feel like you think it's something soft about me, and I'm going to have to show you. Now, it might not end out the way that I think it is, but you going to know that Negro showed you something. You dig what I'm saying? And I normally have a poker with me, man, for the most part. You know what I'm saying? And that would have been one of them days when she would have showed hope I ain't have no poker with me, man. You know?
You wouldn't have poked her with your art.
I don't know what I'd have done. She spit on me, man.
Here's the crazy part. Do you know how many white people would have after that incident, after she got the brakes beat off of her and her head snatched ball? It was just spit. It was just spit. Yeah. I don't understand what the big deal was. She should have just got up and moved. He should have just moved. They asked for that.
Yeah,
it was just spit.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, I'm for real. She spit on me, man. I'm like, I can almost guarantee you, man, 10 out of 10, I'd have blacked out, dude. That's spit, man. Yeah. That is, at the end of the day, that's spit. So you asking, whatever you about to get, you ask for that.
That joint is diabolorent atrocious. That is diabolical, abhorrent, and atrocious put together.
Yeah, all of that. I think I'd have had to get up
and
stretch a little bit, walk behind that seat, and snatch all of her up out that seat. Because I don't know that I could have got past her husband.
I think she had that confused when she said, I would kill you. I think what she should have said is, I'm about to die.
Yeah, right. Well, she's not American, so she probably got the languages confused.
Oh my God.
She was confused.
It's been WrestleMania, that joint, boy. I'd have jumped off the top rope. I'd have put her in the figure four, the stun, Steve. I told
you from the top of this.
And by no means, I've never have, as bad as I was in life, I've never been that dude to go looking for trouble. I don't look for physical altercations. I never have. I don't think I'm the baddest man walking. I never have. But there are certain things that's a trigger, and that would have been a trigger. That wouldn't have ended well for me and nobody around me at that particular time. It just would not. It just would have been, I don't know what came across you, but I can promise you when this is all over with, she had a cold, and you know how you get a cold and you cough and she'd have swallowed it. She'd have just took it back down. She'd have never spit no more in her life, man. She'd have spit. She'd have been traumatized for the rest of her life.
And she'd have had pneumonia every year for the rest of her life.
She'd have been traumatized for the rest of her life.
You have to spit it out. Nope, can't do it.
The word spit would have sent her into a hole. Just say it.
Boy, we can, boy. Oh my God. Well, when I see
exactly,
that
Jamel.
You gonna smell my dick. I'd have had that whole auditorium smelling like Brute. Old people cologne. I'd have smelled Brute for 2 months. Boy, that man cologne still lingering in him. We can't get it out.
Right. He left the room and it's still here. Ooh-wee. All right. Well, if that wasn't diabolical enough, yeah. So this next one was news to me.
Let's take organ trafficking. What's the number one organ that is in demand?
The heart.
Nope.
Well, kidney.
Nope.
The number one organ that's in demand. Organ. The number one organ that's in demand. The number one organ in demand. If it's not the heart, it's not.
And brown and black people are targeted for this organ.
It's not the heart. It's not the kidney.
The largest organ of the body.
The skin.
Skin.
Yeah.
And because we're brown and black people and we have so many different variations of pigmentation, and especially in times like this where wars are going on, and look at where the wars are, and people are getting burned and bombed, and fires have gone on even in the United States. We have this now phenomenon of all.
Come on, Willie D. I need you to do better, bro. You were slow.
I don't know. And that's why I brought this up. This is why I played this video, because that was like brand new to Marcus, Shahir, and Mo, right? We had never heard that before in our lives.
Right.
And I went and tried to research it, and I saw you shuffling papers, and I was like, okay, cool. I'm going to bring something out for me, because I couldn't find anything. When I say nothing, I looked.
Yeah.
I couldn't find anything on that.
Yeah.
Skin harvesting. And how is it done? And are we like for real targeted for that?
So it's 3,300. Well, it's maybe more now, because I know back in 2019 it was $333 a gram. Right.
Wait a minute, hold up. Y'all may just said something. Because when she said that, I said melanin. I never thought of melanin and skin to be synonymous.
Right. Yeah, it's yeah.
Like, this is why I love y'all. This is why I love y'all.
We work together. You got to put it together.
I'm back. Thank you, y'all, man. Thank you. Come on with it. Let's go.
But if you look at this is how they make their sunscreen. Believe it or not, listen, I'm about to read you. So if there's a commercial floating around on YouTube, just type in melanin sunscreen x-ray. If you put on sunscreen on a white person and look through an x-ray or a night vision, it's brown.
Because they got protection now.
Because they're protected from the sunscreen. You take a pasty white, vanilla lily white person and take their hand and take sunscreen and put it on, and then put on x-ray or night vision goggles, that patch where you put it on is going to be brown. Now, I found an article thermal from Science Direct, Current Biology. This was in August of 2018. Melanin-based energy harvesting across the tree of life. This is what listen to this terminology. This is from a science website. But it started out, it says the summary. Recent results on the thermal biology of unicellular fungi provide evidence that, listen to how they word this. Listen to this. Provide evidence that pigmentation is an ancient adaptation for harvesting solar radiation. A new model system promises novel opportunities for quantifying radiative heat transfer and improving biophysical models. So basically what they're saying is we're going to take skin cells from a melanated person and put them joints in a petri dish and do all this stuff and grow it as fungi. There you go. See that? Now you see how white he is? You see that with the sunscreen through UV ray glasses? You see how he looks like us? Now, that's the summary in what they're harvesting this melanin. I know y'all can't see this, but there is figure 1 and then there's figure 2. All right. It says figure 1, dark colored microorganisms accelerate the melting of the Greenland ice sheet. These microorganisms capture heat, which causes the temperature in these structures called cryoconites to increase several degrees higher. So what they're doing, they're saying, okay, how can we take melanin? Even the melanin is the melanin heated up is melting the ice, because they have to have something that can go on their skin and not harm them, but can keep the sunlight away. This is deep, y'all. This is like, and we wonder why so many of us, when we come up missing, yeah, they getting all of what we did the story on the young lady, the woman in Mississippi, where they never told her about her son. Yeah, they getting hearts and stomachs and all this stuff testing, but they're getting our melanin. Listen, because many unicellular fungi can be easily grown in the laboratory, they are an ideal model for answering some of the remaining questions about the mechanistic link between color lightness and the physiology and ecology of a species. Current support for the benefits of thermal melanism is limited to estimates of locomotor performance, activity, and mating success. Y'all hear what so basically what they just said is we're going to continue to
test melanin to see how far we can go with it.
Mm-hmm.
Sunscreen is not enough. We're testing mixed people who has limited thermal melanism, opposed to somebody all the way white, opposed to somebody Shear's complexion, Banaf's complexion, my wife's, and my complexion, different shades of brown.
Mm-hmm.
And they say it's ancient. So what do you think they testing? They know this.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, no, there was no, what they saying is, how was y'all white in Egypt? There's no way. That sun.
Ain't no way.
They was like, yo, it's no way. So that's why we're testing. And I'll put a link to this article in the chat so y'all can go check it out because it's a lengthy article. But yeah, the website is called Science Direct, and the article is called Thermal Biology, Melanin-based energy harvesting. They know that this skin holds energy to block out the sun, and they know white folks don't have it. And she just showed y'all the images. Like I said, y'all see, I wasn't up here just talking. When you take a white person and put sunscreen on them, they look like us.
Yeah.
But when you pump it out of the bottle, what does it look like? Lotion.
It's white.
It looks like, it looks white. It looks clear lotion. So how did they get that to do that? That's crazy. And this article is telling you what they've been doing for years.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
So yeah, I just wanted to bring that out, man. That's
never thought of skin and melanin. I knew melanin was. I just never, and I know what melanin is too, but I don't know why I had that disconnect. I'm looking for a book that I have. I've been teaching this to my family for a long time, and I remember the very first time I brought this up to them, they all looked at me like I was crazy. And this is when we were shortly into the truth. I can't find the book because I want to get a title of the book. It was crazy because I was just reading it not long ago, but in this book, it's pretty much telling you the white skin is a curse. I've been saying that for years. This is why it's so few of them in the earth, because they're not supposed to be here. When you talking aliens, they are aliens, right? At one particular time, there was no such thing as what we call white people, to put it that way. They're not protected from the sun at all on this very thing that we're talking about. And one of the things that was interesting, it was talking about the traits that some of them have that the majority of the world would call pretty or nice. They're really traits of a broken DNA and part of the curse that they have, like their blue eyes or their green eyes and the red hair that they have and stuff like this. These are things that they are missing that will make them, how they want to say that they call us 2/3 human, right? This is something that they call us. But in all reality, within their genes, they're really subhuman for real. Not making this up. This is what science is.
Right.
And they know who we are and what we're made of, going back to what Ayo was saying. And my wife and I, we was just talking about this when the Mashiach says that the kingdom is within you. A lot of that has to do with who we are, how we're made up, and the melanin that is within us. They know how great we are. They know who we are and what we are. So yeah, that how much you said it was on the market at one time?
Coincidentally, back when this article was written in 2018, Pastor Darby talks about it, and it was $333 a gram.
A gram.
That's a gram. And again, because they have to sunscreen, like that stuff, and doing these testings and all this, it's profitable.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's profitable.
Yeah. Yeah. It's dangerous being in this skin.
Man,
dangerous, man, and this is why
it's dangerous being in this skin, man.
Indeed, it is.
Organ trafficking, and that interview with the young lady and Willie D is very interesting. If y'all can go, somehow pull up his interviews and check it out. She was dropping a lot of knowledge, and some of the stuff that I was reading out of this article, some of the same stuff is why it's profitable and why why our people are targeted is for this. This is profitable, man.
Oh, praises to Ohio, man, and thank y'all. Thank you. Y'all made for getting the ox straight over here. Well, I'm over here Googling skin harvesting, skin. Hey, father. Like, what is this lady talking about? Skin? Like, what they doing? Rolling it up and keeping the skin rolled up in a closet somewhere or something, man. Like, what is she talking? But yeah, that's some good stuff, man. But yeah, even the kid that got rolled up in the mat, his organs was missing. His organs was missing when they, you know what I'm saying? So you got these funeral homes. I don't know if y'all talk about them where y'all at, but we got these funeral homes that's not putting people in the ground when they supposed to, and families coming around and finding out about it. You know, why do you think that they leaving a lot of these bodies out? And these be black funeral homes. Why do you think they be leaving these bodies out? They probably making money from, you know what I'm saying, from these, from the organs that are within these bodies, man. So yeah, so that's that, man. That is that. What we got next, but not what we got next. Man, where's that book at, man? This is gonna bother me till I find it now.
The same God that made the moon and the sun and the rivers made me. That God don't make no mistake.
You speak of the universal God, the power of the universe. Are there things that we can do to tap into that power?
We're born into it. It's like you born with $10 billion in the bank, but they told you it wasn't there. It's still there. They can't steal it. They can use it as long as you don't know you have it.
Why is it that so many of us are still in the dark about this?
Why wouldn't you be in the dark? You've been trained to be in the dark. Well, I need somebody to tell me I am somebody, because I don't know I am. And so when you stop and you think, it's here. Here, you was born with it. The same.
See,
how powerful that was.
We gloss over that. Well, everything he just said that's in the word, we just read it and go on. But when you really think about that, like, look at the topic we just talked about. The same creator that made this, that created the sun, put something on us that everybody else wants. That same sun he created, that our sin, that our skin soaks up and thrives off that kills everybody else. They want it. That's crazy. Like, we don't think about that enough and meditate on the word when, you know what I'm saying? Like, think about that.
They have convinced us that we are the lowest of the lowest so much to the point that we believe it. While the whole time that they know that we are the greatest. There's a movie that my wife turned me on to several years ago. What is it called? The Mask? With Leonardo. Is that Leonardo DiCaprio?
Man in the Iron Mask.
Man in the Iron Mask. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that movie or not, but if you haven't, check it out. What is it again?
Man in the Iron Mask.
Man in the Iron Mask. And what it is he was a man of royalty, but never knew it. He was born into it, and they had him locked away and hid all of his life. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, the premise of it, though, is they were twins.
Right.
Only one of them would take the throne.
Right.
So they conspired to hide one of the twins. This is supposedly during the time with the Three Musketeers. So yeah.
Was not Jacob and Esau twins?
Right.
There you go.
What? Were they not told? When they mama not told that you got two nations within your womb?
At war.
And that's what we glossed over for years.
Glossed over it. We heard it, processed it, but kind of, went on. But now it's like, wow, okay.
Now that you understand what nations really are.
Right.
Yeah.
One of the most evilest things in the world that you could do to anybody is take away who they are. Because then if I can take that away from you, now I can make you who I want you to be.
Teach you what I want.
And that's what they've done to us.
Teach you what I want you to know. Give you limits, how I want the limits to react. Teach you how to react to the limits. That
basically keep you in a box.
Keep you in a box.
So with me, from my experience and learning that I'm Hebrew, I cannot begin to tell you how the amount of chains that have been broken just from that little bit of knowledge.
Man.
That's why Paul said I think it's in Galatians, stand fast in the liberty therewith you have been called. This is part of liberty, because now now I have a nationality, knowing who I am. And with me knowing who I am, I start learning about who they are and who they are and who they are and who they are. Like Bernard said, we start learning nations. That's powerful. Now I can walk in a door with whomever for real, with my head up and my back straight.
Right.
Because for all my life you've been telling me I ain't nothing.
Right.
Come to find out that I'm the apple of his eye.
Right. Right.
All my life you've been telling me that he loved everybody regardless. Come to find out that all other nations are but spittle to him.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
This is liberation. And this is what my man was talking about. That if we was to unlock to that as a whole, all of this stupidity that we be seeing on TikTok, all of our sisters tricking themselves out as Instagram models, all of our brothers thinking that it's culture or it's cool to have your pants sagging, and it's better to have an occupation to sell drugs than to make a great name for yourself as a legacy. All of this stuff will no longer be. And that's the box that Banach was talking about, that they were able to put us in because they took away who we really are. Look at pictures of the 1950s of how our brothers dressed and how my sisters dressed compared to how we dress today.
Yep. Suits. Just on a regular day. 3-piece suit. Slacks.
Just because.
Just because. Hat. Cane. Just because. You was going to the store, the grocery shop, you was smooth with it. And you said something, you said the word liberation. And I don't remember the exact day, but Abib or April of 2017, when the Most High woke me up out of darkness into his marvelous light. I literally asked my wife, I talk about it all the time. I literally felt chains fall off of me, like literally, like for real, like the yoke, the chains from here, the chains on my waist, the chains on my ankles. I could literally, and I just cried right there on the back, right there on the back of the porch. I'll never forget. I literally felt chains fall off, like for real. It blew, because everything that I sensed that was up against me, everything that I sensed that was coming ahead politically, financially, everything that's happened, I knew why. At that moment, I was like, okay, I knew something was not right, but now I know why it wasn't right. Because it's just, hey, we don't want you guys to read. And the pastor, he bet not
When y'all on Sundays, you better get back to those quarters after he preach, and he better preach these 3 messages. Be submissive to your masters, and obey your masters. You're going to get yours in the sweet by and by, and to be obedient. If he preach anything other than those 3 topics, he'll be killed. He'll be beat in front of everybody. To know that happened, we knew that happened, but then to understand why the same creator that made the sun and the moon, he made me in fashion, like you say, I'm the apple of his eye. And there was a purpose. He has allowed these things to happen because somebody has redeemed us and will return again to physically redeem us. You can mic drop. Right? You can.
What did he say? He said, though a woman may forget her suckling child. Talking to Israel, he said, I'll never forget you.
Never forget you.
He said, I have engraved you on the palms of my hand.
On the palms of my hand.
And in the Christian church, you'll read that, and it is beautiful poetry in the Christian church because it's like he's talking to everybody. But when you learn that you are the apple of his eye, that he said you are part, now that takes on a whole new meaning. I'll never forget you.
Never forget you.
When all I had was syrup sandwiches in the projects, I'll never forget you.
Never forget you.
When I come home, when I go to school, the lights was on, but when I come home, they were off.
Never forget you.
I never forget you.
That's real, bro.
When I go outside knowing that we parked the car there and now it's gone for 1 or 2 reasons because it's either stolen or repoed, I never forget you. And every promise of whether you in the east or the west, I'm coming to get you and I bring you back to the land that I promised your fathers. He's talking to me.
Right. And not just everybody.
And not just everybody.
That boy, listen, that made that thing hit different. From
that hit different.
That hit different, boy. I was like,
it
wow.
Hit different.
I cried like a baby 2-3 days straight. I cried.
Best thing ever happened to me, man, was finding out.
And I think for the most part, most Black people have always felt like they were special. Feel like you different, especially if you grew up in an environment where you're the only Black person, you the token Black for whatever sport you in, whatever school you're in, classroom you're in. And don't be smart. Don't be smart and be Black. You always knew you were special, but for it to be validated and to understand why you're special now, I'm like you, it hits different.
It hit different.
It hit different. Yeah.
It different.
It hit different. To know that.
What kind?
But what after you said that, something else hit me. What does every nation, especially Caucasian and whites, what do they always say? It's just something about y'all. Don't they always say that?
They always say that.
They can't stand us, but they will admit there's something about
something about y'all.
Some people. There's something about them.
About y'all.
Something they
always. I told this rich white boy one time, I tell this story all the time. It's one of my favorite stories. I told that joker with all the atrocities that come with being Black. If I could, I would want to die 1,000 times and every time come back Black. And I told him, y'all can keep y'all whiteness. I looked him in his eyes and told him, y'all can keep that whiteness.
100%.
You can have it. You can have it.
It don't matter.
Don't matter.
Don't matter.
Cause
I want to come back Black every time.
Right.
I tell my wife all the time, well, I be understanding why them that gun, why you got wiggles out there. I said, if I were white, hell, I want to be like them too. Man, look how smooth we are.
Now we know why they want to be us.
Now I know I ain't mad at you. I get it.
I get it. I get it. I get
I
it.
understand.
I understand. Hey, when I get up and brush my teeth and wash my face, get ready for my day, I be like, say, man, I get it.
Man.
I get it.
Get it, man. I get it.
Hey, I love you, Ayo, Yahoo. This has been great. Benaki did a great job as well tonight. We love y'all. We wouldn't be nothing without you. Meet us here, same address next week. We gonna do this till they tell us we can't do this here.
Yeah. After we done show it out tonight, saying we got spat on, we might be in the trap house next week, but
we might. The trap house, the vacation house.
They've been letting us slide. And I know we've been showing ourselves here lately, boy. But you know what they do? They'll strike our page and make us go to the trap house for a show we did 8 weeks ago.
Right. Or last year.
You know
right. When I get that message,
they let you get away, then they come back.
You be like, we got a strike.
They be bringing up old stuff.
I'll be like, for real, we got a strike. You be like, guess when? Show 88. I'll be like, wait. Show 88.
I don't even remember what we talked about.
And I go back and look at it, and then sometimes I'll be like, oh, okay, yeah.
It was that.
The FOW. Oh, okay. He said the word. Called everybody that was white the word. We said. Right. They was like, oh yeah, y'all going to the beach house for that. But yeah, man, great one tonight.
Great show. Yeah, welcome back, Ayo. It was good to have you back, man.
What did Varnell Hill say? Did you miss me? What did he say on Mark? Right? Did you miss me? Hey, I'm glad to be back, man. Glad to be back.
Yes, indeed.
My family that love me. So yeah, man. Glad to be back.
What we got, baby? How you take us out of here?